Hello everyone, I'm Morgan, and today I wanted to talk to you about 5 books I've read recently. As usual, I'm going to go from the one I like the least to the one I like the most. So let's go. The first one and the one I like the least is Behind the Scenes by Kate Atkinson. I was really disappointed by how much I disliked this book because Kate Atkinson was one of the authors that I mentioned last year that I really wanted to read from literary fiction authors, and though I did like her writing, the actual story I didn't like because this is historical fiction. It's about this girl, Ruby, that we follow from her birth and even before when she's a fetus to when she grows up. And the thing is that in each of the chapters you have a footnote, and then when the chapter is finished you get that footnote, but it is like a second timeline or even more timelines, and it always tells you some stories about her mother mostly, but also some other relatives of hers. And I just was not interested mostly by these footnotes. They're set mostly after World War II or during World War II, so you heard about that, and I've honestly read enough World War II historical fiction books, I think, so I'm not really interested in that. And it was also about how they were living and their mother who died in the past and that kind of thing. And we also had, as I said, some other characters that were not really important to the story whatsoever, but we got their parts. I don't really know why they were there, to be honest. I was really interested in Ruby's story, however, but there was so many footnotes. I mean, for every single chapter, you get a footnote, and it's as long as the chapter, so I don't know, I was really disappointed, and I don't really know what the other book that I have on my shelves from her will be. It's transcription, and it's also historical fiction, so I don't know if I will like it. Please tell me if you've read transcription and what it's about, maybe a little bit. I think it's about spies, and it should be a little better, but I don't know. I'm disappointed. The second book I have to talk about is The Mole People by Jennifer Toth. I actually listened to this one on audiobook, and I thought it was okay. Actually, this book is about life in the tunnels beneath New York City, so it's a set of interviews that Jennifer Toth made when she was in the tunnels under New York City. And I did think it was interesting, but my problem is that there's no narrative structure to the book. It's just interviews, and it doesn't really make for a very interesting book because in the end all the experiences of those people, though they're interesting, are pretty repetitive. They have similar stories, so after like half of the book, I mean, you get it, you know what happens. But I was interested in that, but as I said, it's just, yeah, I don't know if it needed to be a book. It could have been just an article in a journal and it would have been enough, in my opinion. But I was interested. Anything that has to do with New York City, I'm interested in. And this story just had very impactful stories about people living in the tunnels that didn't want to live in society, but also some people that just ended up there because of addiction, of course. The third book I have to talk about is one I listened to an audiobook as well, and is Long Bright River by Liz Moore. I was ridiculously excited for this release for no reason really, because I'd heard a lot of people talk about Liz Moore's previous book, The Unseen World, and I still really want to read this one. And so when I saw that she had a new book that was a thriller, I was excited because I'd heard that Liz Moore focuses a lot on characters, and I just love thrillers that focus a lot on characters because sometimes it's more about plot in thrillers, and I'm always kind of disappointed by them because of that, because I need characters to like a book. But this one, as I had hoped, focused a lot of on characters, but also had a lot of plot, so it was great. In this story, we follow this woman that is searching for her sister that disappeared, and she's a cop, so she's trying to use her job to find her a little bit. She seeks the help of her previous partner, and she also has a kid, and there are some stuff that we discover that many twists and turns, and it's just really, really interesting, and I loved how developed the characters were, and just the story was really interesting. And there's a lot about addiction also in this novel, because her sister is an addict, and she also discovers that her mother was an addict, and it's just a whole thing. And she also learns that her sister was a hooker, and many things. It's very impactful, and I love this novel so much. And the audiobook also was great, because like the narrator I thought was really good. But yeah, just overall really great book. The fourth book I have to talk about is Bone Crossed by Patricia Briggs. This is the fourth book in the Mercy Thompson series. There will always be a book by this series, I think, in my wrap-ups. I'm just really trying to get it into this series and finish it, because there are like 14 books now, I think, or something like that. But yeah, once again, this book was really good. It has just enough of romance, urban fantasy, and action. It's perfection. I love these books so much. And Mercy Thompson as a character. I've also never mentioned that she's a car mechanic. She works for that, and she talks about her work sometimes, but also it's mainly on the action, all the vampires and werewolves and people that she knows, and how she always gets involved in crazy stories, and everyone wants to kill her, but she's just so great. And the last book is one that a lot of people have been talking about, and This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal, El-Mohtar, and Max Gladstone. This book was just great. I listened to it again in audiobook, and I would recommend it because we have two narrators for two main characters. In it, we follow two women that are on the opposite sides of a time war, and they become lovers, but they can't really meet because they're on opposite sides, and it's really fascinating. I thought this story was just so original, and I loved it. The only bad thing is I think I listened to it way too fast. So what I want to do is to buy a physical copy and reread it this year, because I just loved it, and I think I missed some things listening to it so fast. But really, the story I loved. Again, it focuses on a lot of characters, so it's really my thing. And there's this time war, but we don't really get a lot about the time war, and I think that's the reason why some people might not like it, because there's not a lot that is explained in the science fiction aspect of things, and some people need answers, and I get that, and you don't really get answers in this book. It's just, that there's a time war, and sometimes they talk about their work, but not that much. It's mostly about their love story and female-female relationships, which are great. So yeah, I love this book. It was really, really cool. But yeah, that's all for me. Please tell me if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or what you have been reading recently, as I would love to know. But that's all for me. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye. Dream I know, deep up my feelings.